Dear distinguished Deputy Minister, Her Excellency Berris Ekinci, Your Excellency the Ambassador Muktesh Pardeshi, esteemed coordinators, and ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the inaugural session of the conference on the International Conference on Türkiye-India Relations, Historical and Contemporary Perspectives. It is a privilege to have you all as we begin what promises to be an insightful and impactful event. It is my honor to introduce the distinguished speakers for our inaugural session. We are privileged to hear from esteemed leaders and bring valuable insights to the conference. First, I cordially invite Nebi, the General Coordinator of SETA, for his speech, for his opening remarks.
Honorable Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ms. Berris Ekinci, Honorable Excellency Ambassador from India and Director of IDDF, distinguished diplomats, distinguished participants, I give my best regards and saluting you all. In the changing global values in terms of the existing situation and the relationship between Turkey and India, we organized this international conference held in SETA and welcome all. Dear participants, we are living in an era where the multipolarization is emerging and increasing uncertainties lead the countries to find their strategic positions on Earth. And the states actually trying to position themselves depending on the escalating trends. And there are geopolitical tensions in this era as well. And in this era where the multipolarization process is getting increasing, so Turkey is now creating new cooperation channels. So within the scope of the New Asia incentives, we diversify economic relations in addition to the political positions, and Turkey stationed itself in a very secured manner for the Russian-Ukraine war, so Turkey can protect its relations with the Western world, taking an active part in the Central Asia and in the Middle East. And Turkey has a very strong position in NATO, and it's very effective in Balkans, in Middle East, and in Mediterranean region, bringing a great contribution to the regional stability in a multi-dimensional way. Turkey has a very strong dominance in the geopolitical relations, and in every incident which might occur in this region, reinforce Turkey's position here in this geography. In the light of all these things, actually, Turkey and Indian relations are to be taken up in a holistic way. Turkey and India has very strong and ancient relations with their strategical positions and with their historical wealth and position. So their positions are also getting much more important in the changing geopolitical dynamics. So we are also looking for new opportunities in trade and in economy. So we go deeper actually in this cooperation as Turkey and India in all aspects. Distinguished participants, Turkey has very close relations with EU and with NATO, and acting a very important international player. So after changing the global balances here, Turkey's relations with Asia are taken up in a much more constructive and institutionalized manner. India has a very growing economy, and BRICS and Shanghai cooperation. So India is also a very important actor in the global politics, and India has a very strategic position in Indian Ocean. And considering geopolitical position linking important geographies,
barındırmaktadır. Türkiye ve Hindistan farklı dış politika önceliklerine sahip olsalar da ortak çıkarlar çerçevesinde işbirliğini derinleştirme potansiyeline sahiptir. Özellikle şu alanlarda daha güçlü bir işbirliği geliştirilebilir. Bunlardan ilki enerji güvenliği ve yenilenebilir enerji projelerinde ortak çalışmalar, yüksek teknoloji, yapay zeka ve bilişim sektöründe işbirliği, küresel ve bölgesel güvenlik politikalarında koordinasyon, ekonomik işbirliği ve ticari bağların güçlendirilmesi, Birleşmiş Milletler'in reform sürecinden geçirilmesi. Özellikle Birleşmiş Milletler'in uluslararası barışın korunması,
UN, especially its task in peacekeeping position, UN is getting far away from this position. So Turkey and India may bring stronger cooperation to bring this protection. As you know, for a long time, our honorable president of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, stated that the world is bigger than five. So he is emphasizing the importance of different cooperations, indicating that the Turkey and India may increase this cooperation under this perspective. Yes, distinguished participants, this conference will analyze the relation between Turkey and India in a deeper way. It has a very important position. So as SETA, we believe that this issue is not only evaluated by Turkey, but in India, this issue will be paid a great attention. So as SETA, we are planning to extend the scope of our works. So under this position, of course, Turkey deems this cooperation in a higher extent for the future works for the common interests of two countries developing new visions and new projections. So this conference we are organizing today will, of course, strengthen the current dialogue between Turkey and India and bringing contribution to the mutual understanding. And we would like to thank Honorable Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, Berris Ekinci, His Excellency Ambassador of India, and distinguished academics and experts and all participants. Thank you so much for being here with us. And I believe that I thank IDDF especially and its general director for their very valuable contributions to this event from Indian side, and we would like to give our best and special thanks to our audience in the social platform as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nebi, for your insightful remarks. It's now my pleasure to invite Aftab Kamal Pasha, the director of the IDDF.
Good morning to all of you. Honorable Minister of State Foreign Affairs, the Director of the SETA, Excellencies, colleagues and participants. It's indeed a privilege for IDDF and all the well-wishers from India who have come here to participate in this first conference between the two organizations. It reminds me of the frequent meetings, conferences, which we used to have until recently. We need to revive. This is the first step towards that goal of frequent exchanges between academics, between policymakers, and the thinkers who lay the foundation for better understanding between the two sides, which will pave the way for greater cooperation, understanding, and the necessary input for the direction in which the foreign, economic, and other policies are shaped for the benefit of the two peoples. Two very ancient civilizations who have cooperated, exchanged, and benefited from mutual achievements throughout the centuries, and who have also worked to share with other civilizations. That has been the hallmark of India and Turkey. We need to revive this old tradition. The custom of frequent meetings is the best way to understand and iron out any misunderstandings or any differences which we may have. So in that step, I look forward to listening to our colleagues from Turkey and also send a message to the highest level that this depth, which is visible in the hundreds and thousands of people who come from India every day on regular visits, not only to understand an ancient civilization culture, which is visible from end to end in Turkey. And that is what inspires people to shape the thinking. You know, in Turkey, as is visible from every part of the country, the archaeological ruins and the long history of Ottoman tradition rule, and also the similar traditions in India from the length and breadth of the country, that has witnessed several important milestones, achievements, and I think that needs to be rebooted, and how we can benefit from each other's achievements. That remains principal to the furthering and strengthening of the bilateral relations. Thank you so much, and I look forward to the continuous support and reciprocal visit from SETA to India for further continuation of the dialogue between the two groups. Thank you.
We sincerely appreciate your remarkable insights. Thank you, Mr. Aftab Kamal Pasha. It's my great honor to introduce our keynote speakers, whose insights and expertise will set the tone for our discussions today. It's our pleasure to welcome His Excellency, Mr. Muktesh Pardeshi, Ambassador of India to Ankara. Thank you.
Her Excellency Ambassador Berris, Ekinci, Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs of Turkey, Dr. Nebi, General Coordinator of SETA, Dr. Aftab, Kamal, Pasha, Director IDDF, and all visiting representatives of Indian think tanks, all distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. Namaskar, Merhaba, and a very warm welcome to this international conference on India-Turkey relations. As I understand, this is the largest and most ambitious bilateral assembly of experts from think tanks, academics, professionals, and policymakers, underlying the importance of both India and Turkey on the global stage, and the keenness of the both sides for frank dialogue and intensified engagement. For me personally, this conference indeed is a fulfilling moment. It has been little less than 3 months that I arrived in Ankara to assume my responsibility as the ambassador of India to Turkey. My warmest greetings. At a personal level, I have felt warmly welcomed in a civilizational state like Turkey, full of natural beauty, long history, rich culture, and warm people. In the very first week of my arrival in Ankara, I came to SETA office with this proposal for this conference. By the time I left this building in an hour or so, we had reached an agreement to host this conference jointly and at the soonest possible. Therefore, I am so happy that this conference become a reality in a very short time. I would like to thank Dr. Nebi, Professor Gurul Baba, and from Indian side, Professor Pasha, Dr. Umair Anas, and my colleague from Embassy, Mr. Anto Alphonse, for their relentless efforts in putting together this joint initiative. India, known as Hindustan here in this country, achieved its independence in August 1947. Over the last 7 decades or so, people of India have made collective achievements as a nation which is marching ahead as the largest, vibrant, and successful democracy of 1.4 billion citizens. Embracing diverse religions, ethnicities, languages, and cultures, yet maintaining its inherent unity. India today is the 5th largest economy in the world. India also aspires to become a Vishwabandhu, a friend to the world, a responsible member of the international community, and a reliable partner in addressing global challenges. So is Turkey. There is a noticeable rise in the role of Turkey in regional and global affairs. In the last 2 decades, Turkey has bolstered its national infrastructure, driven economic growth, and achieved huge advancements in defense industry. Turkey GDP at current prices is expected to reach 1.43 trillion by the end of this year and is expected to grow by 4%. It received around 62 million international tourists in 2024, which was also one of the busiest years in terms of diplomacy for Turkey. This conference intends to look at the historical trajectory of our centuries-old relationship. Our ties are rooted in the shared legacy of the medieval days. There is Turkish impact on India in areas such as language, art, architecture, costumes, and cuisine. Some studies have compiled approximately 9,000 words in common between Hindi and Turkish languages. The Sufi philosophy of Mevlana Rumi resonates in Indian subcontinent with its own traditions of Sufism and devotional tradition. Historians have noted that the first exchange of diplomatic missions between the Ottoman sultans and Bahmani kings of India date back to the years 1481-82. In modern era, the contacts were established in the beginning of the 20th century. In 1912, Indian freedom fighter Dr. M.A. Ansari led a medical mission to this country to treat wounded Turkish soldiers during the Balkan Wars. One of his companions, Abdur Rahman, stayed on in Turkey. He became the first reporter of Anadolu Agency, that is the public sector agency here in Turkey, when it was founded by Ataturk himself in April 1920. This I observed yesterday when I visited the headquarters of Anadolu Agency. He was later appointed by Ataturk as Turkey's first ambassador to Kabul. He died here in 1925. Then there was the First World War. As the 110th anniversary campaign approaches in the month of April, it's worth recalling that tens of thousands of Turkish soldiers died during the Gallipoli campaign, along with tens of thousands of Europeans, plus more than 10,000 Anzac troops, and approximately 2,000 Indian soldiers, a fact which is not publicized so much. But it was the sufferings at the hands of external powers that brought the peoples of India and Turkey remarkably closer a century ago. Indian people extended intellectual and material support in 1920s to Turkish War of Independence and formation of the Republic. The Khilafat movement during 1919 to 22 was a political campaign launched by Indian nationalist leaders over British policy against Turkey and the planned dismemberment of the Ottoman Empire after World War I. Mahatma Gandhi supported the movement as part of his opposition to the British Empire, and he also advocated for a wider non-cooperation movement. The movement saw financial donations by Indians to help in this movement. These donations were sent to Ataturk in his personal name, and they were used as the founding capital of İş Bank in August 1924. Ataturk appreciated the gesture and had hoped that India would soon gain Swaraj, independence. This was 1924. This is indeed an inspirational chapter in the nationalist struggles of our two countries. The intellectuals and press on both sides closely monitored their respective anti-imperial struggles. Indian nationalist leaders like Mahatma Gandhi, Tagore, and Nehru greatly admired Turkey's modernization process, including its move towards a secular republic. Gandhi maintained throughout his life a keen interest in Turkey and frequently wrote about it in his newspapers. He held high regard for Turkey. I will quote, he wrote in 22 in his newspaper Naujivan, "The cause of the Khilafat, thank God, is safe in the hands of Gaji Mustafa Kamal Pasha." Tagore saw in Ataturk a new hope for Asia and its resurgence. And in Nehru's words, and I quote, he says, Ataturk is one of the builders of the modern age in the Orient. I continue to be among his greatest admirers. So I'm taking three quotations from three nationalist leaders who were deeply attached to the cause of Turkey in 1920s. India attained independence on 15th August 1947. Turkey recognized our independence immediately, and within a year, both countries would set up their respective embassies. However, partition of India and creation of Pakistan complicated Turkey's view of South Asia and its history. Turkey developed a close alliance with the West and joined NATO in 1954. India pursued the path of non-alignment. Notwithstanding our civilizational bonds and exemplary cooperation during nationalist struggles, we often found ourselves tied up with divergent security priorities and worldviews over the next few decades. But this is past. The end of the Cold War and the dawn of a new century have created altered realities, inspiring both countries to define and develop a new paradigm, to look at each other and create a robust partnership. 2 months ago, I presented my letter of credence to President Erdogan in an elegant ceremony. In the course of half an hour meeting with him, he recalled his visit to India in September 23 to attend the G20 summit in Delhi. He warmly mentioned to me about his meeting with Prime Minister Modi and that he had discussed with him a plan for promoting bilateral cooperation, including high-level visits and dialogues. I feel that there is a strong and mutual desire to take the relationship forward. The direction provided by the two leaders will be diligently pursued at the ministerial and official levels, and in this context, we are looking forward to the early meeting of trade ministers, Foreign Office consultations led by the Deputy Foreign Minister, which will be hosted by India, and holding of thematic bilateral dialogues in the field of counter-terrorism, maritime security, and cyber security. The dialogue on counter-terrorism will be held in March in Delhi. As the two large and fast-growing economies and the G20 countries, there is a huge potential for expanding trade and investment ties. Turkey is among the top 20 countries identified by India to promote trade and investment. It is interesting to observe that Turkey also identified India among the top 18 targeted destinations to promote trade as part of its distant country strategy, which was released in 2023. Bilateral trade has grown in the last few years, with the two-way trade amounting to more than USD 10 billion annually. The highest figure was achieved in 22-23 at US dollar 13.8 billion. We have a shared eagerness to double it and do it fast. Here, diversification of products will also help. There is a similar desire for enhancing mutual investments. The investment flows have grown steadily, but considering the size of our economies, it is low indeed. We welcome Turkish investments and technology, particularly in the field of infrastructure projects. A delegation of Invest India is planning road shows in Istanbul and Ankara in the next few months. Similarly, we would encourage Indian corporates to use Turkey as a hub for third country exports, particularly as a gateway to the European Union market. As the westernmost country of Asia, Turkey announced the Asia Anew initiative in 2019 to introduce a new vision into her policies towards the Asian continent. The Asia Anew initiative prioritizes economic and trade cooperation with Asian partners. This is a welcome initiative. Similarly, our Think West policy has been greatly successful. Among GCC countries, we have now strategic partnership with the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Oman, Kuwait, and more recently with Qatar. I was personally involved as Deputy Minister in developing strategic partnership with Qatar, and I'm so happy that recently it has been done. Our bilateral relationship rests on a strong foundation of historical contacts, shared values of democracy and liberal economy, and growing people-to-people relations. Tourism and education are promising sectors. With the number of Indian tourists going up every year, and now more than 350,000 a year. In order to promote cultural understanding between the two countries, we are working on a very active calendar involving celebration of festivals and participation in prominent cultural events. We have been invited to participate as the guest of honor country at this year's International Book Fair in Istanbul. To sum up, I do observe plentiful opportunities for developing comprehensive, balanced, and deeper bilateral ties aimed at deriving mutual benefits for our people. To reshape our bilateral ties, we need to foster deeper and measured understanding of each other, and this conference will be very helpful. Our relationship should stand on its own merit, based on bilateral considerations and long-term mutual interests. We should seek greater cooperation for reforms in global governance and should work on sharing perspectives and greater alignment on global issues such as climate change, world trade, international terrorism, cyber security, maritime security, and disaster management. Both sides should intensify efforts to expand and diversify bilateral trade. We should explore potential for collaboration for projects in third countries, especially Central Asia and Africa. Stepping up technology cooperation in IT, renewable energy, space, and defense industry will open up new avenues for bilateral cooperation. And finally, strengthening of educational, cultural, and people-to-people exchanges will help in creating more of India in Turkey and more of Turkey in India. Friends, with these brief remarks, I would like to conclude and convey my best wishes for very successful and result-oriented deliberations. From the embassy side, we would be very happy to support the organizers in bringing out a high-quality publication for wider dissemination. I sincerely hope that this conference will not only help in exchanging ideas, but building bridges and developing a roadmap for taking India-Turkey relations to a higher and a desirable plane. Thank you very much for your attention.
That was an enlightening address by His Excellency Mr. Muktesh Pardeshi. We are privileged to welcome Her Excellency Berris Ekinci, Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs for the Republic of Turkey.
Thank you. Esteemed General Coordinator of SETA, Dr. Nebi, Distinguished Director of International Dialogue and Diplomacy Foundation, IDDF, Professor Aftab Kamal Pasha, Honorable Ambassador of India, His Excellency Muktesh Pardeshi, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is both a pleasure and privilege to address this important two-day conference, which will focus on a wide range aspects of Türkiye-India relations. I would like to thank the Foundation for Political, Economic and Social Research in Turkey and the International Dialogue and Diplomacy Foundation in India for organizing this important event, giving the opportunity to experts from Turkey and India to exchange perspectives to enhance mutual understanding and knowledge. It is through the efforts of these two leading think tanks that we can also explore new pathways for collaboration. This vision and commitment to fostering dialogue and cooperation between our nations are truly commendable. I also extend my appreciation to Ambassador Pardeshi for supporting this program. As we reflect on our shared history, we look forward toward the future. The relationship between our nations takes on even greater significance in today's dynamic global landscape. In this context, both historical and contemporary perspectives are crucial to understand the deep-rooted connections that bind the two countries. Turkey and India share a history of interaction that spans centuries. From the cultural exchanges along the Silk Road, where Turkish and Indian traders, scholars, and artists contributed to the tapestry of human civilization, to the mutual support our nations extended one another during our respective struggles for independence in the 20th century, the bonds between Turkey and India have long been forged throughout history. Despite this rich historical foundation, it is evident that Turkey-India relations remain in many respects underexplored and not fully understood. While we share many common interests, aspirations, and challenges, the depth and breadth of our relationship have yet to be fully harnessed. As we navigate an increasingly interconnected world, think tanks play a significant role in creating platforms for dialogue among scholars, business leaders, cultural figures, and civil society representatives. The efforts of these institutions are crucial in bridging the gap between academic thought and real-world action, ensuring that our discussions are both intellectually robust and practically relevant. This is why I believe this event will also highlight the existing research gaps in the field of Turkey-India relations and promote deeper academic collaboration between our think tanks and academic institutions. By encouraging further research and dialogue, this conference can pave the way for a better understanding of our shared interests and concerns, as well as underscore areas of cooperation. The more we explore the potential of our relations, the better we can manage challenges and deliberate on ways to build a strong and multifaceted partnership. Esteemed guests, from the time of the Silk Road to the era of empires, Turkey and India have enjoyed centuries of engagement. Whether through the exchange of goods, ideas, or people, these interactions have shaped the contours of our shared history. It is remarkable to note that diplomatic exchanges between the Ottoman Empire and the Mughal Empire date back more than half a millennium to the 15th century. These early interactions established the foundations of mutual respect, understanding, and cooperation. Our cultural connections are profound. Beyond the shared trade routes and exchanges of art, literature, and architecture, there are linguistic connections that reflect centuries of dialogue and mutual influence. Turkish and Hindi, for example, share thousands of common words, reminding us that our peoples have long been intertwined through language and culture. In the 20th century, our relationship took on new dimensions as both Turkey and India grappled with the political upheavals of the time. One notable chapter was during the Balkan Wars of 1912, when Dr. Muhtar Ahmet Ansari, a distinguished Indian nationalist, led a medical mission to Turkey. This act of solidarity and commitment to peace remains a powerful symbol of the enduring friendship between our countries. In addition, Mahatma Gandhi's firm stance against the injustices inflicted on the Ottoman state and at the end of the World War I was a poignant reminder of the moral clarity with which he championed the cause of freedom and justice for all nations. His support for Turkey during this critical period of its history exemplified the deep empathy and solidarity that India and its leaders showed towards Turkey's struggle. This spirit of friendship and mutual support is still alive. We continue to come to one another's aid in times of hardship, the latest examples being during the pandemic and in the wake of the earthquake in Turkey in 2023. These events, which may seem like distant memories, are in fact milestones that continue to resonate today. They represent the enduring nature of our relationship and remind us of the possibilities for future collaboration. As we gather here today, we do so with a shared understanding that the relationship between Turkey and India is not just a matter of historical interest, but one of future significance. Dialogue and engagement are building blocks for effective regional cooperation. Our Asia Anew initiative is based on this premise. We wish to contribute to the goal of a prosperous South Asia. This entails closer cooperation with India. Both Turkey and India stand at critical junctures in their respective histories. We are both rapidly emerging as key players on the global stage, with growing influence across the political, economic, and cultural spheres. Our nations share a vision for a more just and multipolar world, one in which the principles of equality, mutual respect, and cooperative progress take precedence. We have much to gain from a coordinated approach to international affairs, particularly in multilateral forums like the United Nations and G20. Our shared priorities in these forums, ranging from a more democratic representation in the decision-making mechanisms to promoting peace and security, to tackling challenges such as climate change, global poverty, and inequality, provide a foundation upon which we can collaborate more effectively. The potential in our partnership is vast, and we firmly believe that there are tremendous opportunities to unlock in sectors like infrastructure development, tourism, civil aviation, space exploration, IT, healthcare, pharmaceuticals, education, e-commerce, and renewable energy. These sectors offer enormous scope for synergy between our economies and will serve as the bedrock for expanding our bilateral ties. This understanding was reinforced during the G20 summit in New Delhi in September 2023, where President Erdogan and Prime Minister Modi met to discuss the future of our bilateral ties. Their meeting marked a crucial milestone, reaffirming our shared commitment to expanding our cooperation. In the last 2 decades, our economic and commercial relations have developed considerably. In 2000, our trade volume was only $500 million. Today, it stands at roughly $10 billion. This growth reflects the deepening economic ties between our two nations, but the potential is far greater. Our leaders have set an ambitious goal of reaching $20 billion in trade, a target that underscores the immense opportunities that lie ahead. We are determined to build on this success, fostering greater economic cooperation for the benefit of our peoples. Ladies and gentlemen, in closing, let me emphasize that the relationship between Turkey and India offers a huge potential. Our shared history, common global interests, and complementary strength provide a solid foundation upon which we can build a future of deeper cooperation, mutual respect, and shared prosperity. As we look ahead, let us embrace the incredible opportunities before us and work together to strengthen the ties between our nations in ways that will benefit not only Turkey and India, but also yield dividends across South Asia, contributing to peace and stability in the region and beyond. These 2 days of deliberations will facilitate an exchange of Turkish and Indian perspectives on global and regional geopolitical developments. In-depth discussions on the challenges and opportunities for India-Turkey bilateral relations will undoubtedly contribute to a positive agenda between the two countries. This dialogue will help us forge new paths for collaboration in political, economic, and cultural domains. Through this event, SETA and IDDF are helping us developing relations, particularly through Track 2 diplomacy. Let us leverage the strategic insights and human connections fostered by them to ensure that the Turkey-India cooperation not only thrives today, but endures for generations to come. Thank you.
We sincerely appreciate that insightful speech by Her Excellency, Mrs. Berris Ekinci. Thank you to our esteemed keynote speakers for their insightful and inspiring remarks. We truly appreciate their attendance and impactful words. We will now take a short break for tea. Please take this opportunity to network and refresh yourselves. We will reconvene at 11:10. Thank you.